All right, so I'm with Leo Perrucci. This is Todd Atkins, and Leo's been on my show a couple times, and he's a Forza Combat Fitness in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, and he is the trainer Jimmy Flick, who just won a fight in Dana White Contender Series and has another fight coming up. So we're going to talk about that right now. So maybe we'll start with the fight with Nate Smith in the Contender Series. Maybe kind of your thoughts on that.
All right, so I'll get into just the game plan for it because a lot of people don't know that what happened was basically what we designed to happen. Round one, we didn't want Jimmy to really jump on any of the submissions too hard all in. We wanted just him threatening, jumping from submission to submission and chaining them together and just trying to overwhelm Nate with the submission attempts. Round two, we thought that Nate would lose a little bit of his explosivity and be able to strike and open up a little bit more with the strikes. And then round three, we wanted to then finally shoot the takedown. If you guys noticed, Jimmy didn't shoot a takedown in rounds 1 or 2. They kind of just ended up in exchanges, striking exchanges, and they fell over or, he didn't shoot until that third round. We had Jimmy pressure into the cage and then shoot the takedown, get him down. And then the idea was to then pound on him a little bit, inflict some damage. And sure enough, we thought Nate would give up the submission easier that way. And it just played out to a T, man. Jimmy's a stud, man. He followed the game plan to a T. And, a lot of times it can be daunting to want to stick to a game plan like that. At that level against someone of that caliber, it could be pretty tall order to really stick to the plan and have success with it.
And so you're saying you wanted to wait till the third round. Is that because the guy's kind of wiry? Or?
Yeah, he was a junior Olympic bronze medalist in Greco. So take it easy, man. What we didn't want to happen was for him to end up in some sort of crazy scramble in round one, where what we've seen from Nate was guys would shoot in takedowns, and man, the kid just knows how to. He knows how to transition in the air. He knows how to scramble. We didn't want to get into something like that right off the bat with Nate. We wanted him worn out a little bit before we engaged in any clinch battles or takedowns. I think it also took it a little bit. It was a bit of a mental dent that we put into him, seeing that Jimmy was the superior grappler. They had to kind of decide to exchange him to stand up in round two, and then Jimmy looked like a seasoned striker. But yeah, that was the idea. Now, obviously, we told Jimmy, if he blatantly gives something up, he gives up his neck and it's there, take it. It's not like we were like, hey, no matter what, you're going to round three. It wasn't like that at all. But we knew at that level that maybe the finish wasn't going to come as easily as it has in the past 3 fights. And maybe, we expected we expected Nate to put up a battle. He's from Team Elevation. I know his coaches. I know his teammates. I'm from Colorado, so we knew we knew we were in for a tough fight. And we prepared for the worst, and man, he went out there and just made it look easy, like he was on another level.
Now, after the fight, how does all that stuff go? I know we see on TV where everyone's kind of waiting to see if they get picked. I mean, is that kind of how it goes? They don't say anything to you, or?
No, yeah, they took us over and they were like, they had us sit there, and I was literally laying on my gym bag, and they had the setup out in front of us with the little like director's chairs where they sit in and wait, and then Dana White's on the other side of the apex, and he's just like, hey, you're getting a contract. Come on over here. And then they get up and walk through. It's pretty neat setup, man.
Now, kind of looking back on the fight, I know you were talking about you kind of had something to prove, and you know afterwards, having the fight go the way you wanted it to, and Jimmy winning kind of as impressively as someone could have, probably given the circumstances.
He set a
Um,
record
right.
for
I mean, what were your feelings after that? I mean,
you know what? For me, it's just like validation, like confirmation of what I've been saying. I've always, since Jimmy came to me, it was just like he needed a direction, like some guidance, somebody to take the wheel and steer him. And obviously, that can be, at that stage in your career, it could be a little scary to be like, okay, just take over. But he really needed that. I knew from maybe, about the first week or so working with him, I was like, man, Jimmy is elite, high level, he should be in the UFC. And I told him that, we're going to get there. So for me, it's not really like, I wasn't surprised. I knew this all along. I believed it. For me, it was like showing everybody, like, hey, listen, I knew this kid. You can look at my posts from when I first started working with him, and I would post like a pad work video or something, and I put in there, like UFC bound, or like I've been on the gym. I've been Team Brick for a long time. Before a lot of people. Now everybody in Oklahoma is Team Brick, and rightfully so. But I think it just took showing everybody in Oklahoma, like, hey, this is your guy. There's some other names that are out of here. You know who they are, and people are really high on them because maybe they have a fancier social media or they train at a super gym or whatever. But the guy Oklahoma needs to be rallying behind is right here in Oklahoma, and he's got no plans to leave. So yeah, I had a chip on my shoulder, but it wasn't like I knew we were going to be here, and I think by the end of Jimmy's Contender contract, we're going to be knocking on some title contention doors, I think.
what did you see initially that made you think that?
He's tough, and he listens. I think also sparring with Jimmy and showing him, like, getting in there, mixing it up with him, and showing him, like, hey, listen, I know what I'm doing. I'm not tooting my own horn or anything like that, but I was able to get his respect and his trust. He listens to me. If I ask him to change something in his camp, he does it. If I ask him to, run on a certain day, he'll do it. If I tell him to grapple on a certain day, he'll do it. He listens to me. And I think having someone with his pedigree, his grappling background, and the experience to just listen to me and let me funnel his attributes in the right direction. That's kind of what, because I've had a lot of guys, man, that have come through, like some of the more known fighters in the area, and they don't want to listen. I had this Glory veteran who's down here now come to me, and it's just like he's telling me what I'm gonna do, how I'm gonna run his camp, and I'm like, well, I can't really help you, man, because you're just wanting me to do the same thing that you've been doing. And Jimmy came to me for a change. He came to me because he needed different. He needed someone to take over and change what he was doing. And sure enough, man, the tweaks happened, and we're 4-0 together now.
Now he's got this fight with Cody Durden coming up. I mean, I watched a little bit of his fight before I came on here. He looks pretty well rounded. Maybe a little bit more of a ground guy. I mean, what do you think of him?
I think he is. He's rough around the edges. He's there's nothing special. He's powerful. He wrestles. I saw him knock a kid out from like a clinch throw. In Colorado. I know he won that Sparta tournament where the first fight is boxing. If you win that fight, the next fight is Muay Thai. If you win that fight, the next fight is an MMA fight. He's experienced and he's tough, but I think he's very limited in what he can do. He's got an overhand. He's got his wrestling behind him, but I think he's only a blue belt. I think Jimmy has already shown that he is a high caliber wrestler, and I think, I think we're better than Cody everywhere. But, 4-ounce gloves. He's only fought 125 one time in his career. So, we'll see how he takes to the new weight class, making 125 again. We'll see if he can carry some of the power that he has at 135. Like I said, I just think, Jimmy just needs to be the best version of himself, and that's what we're really working towards.
Now, this one, you have a lot more time to get ready for it, really, compared to so how does that change things, or does it change anything?
Well, right now we're in add to our toolbox phase, like we're teaching new techniques, new tactics, we're doing new things. We're expanding his palate. Probably about 6 to 7 weeks out, we'll start to get specific for the fight, which we haven't really had a chance to do before, because it's just been it's not been fight after fight, but everything's been short notice with Jimmy and the 4 fights together we have. So it's not like I ever really got to really have 6 weeks to do something specific with him and take things in phases and really set up like specific sparring for him. We've never really done that where like we'll be able to mimic the fight. Now we did that with the wrestlers for Nate Smith. Like we brought in the wrestlers, we brought in Kyle Wag, Cody Carskater, and Jared Patterson. And I got to set it up to a mild degree because we only had 3 weeks to work. But for this, I'll have really 6 weeks to ingrain a game plan in them, the striking tools that we plan to use against them, and then an overall game plan of where I think Jimmy needs to take things to win the fight.
As a trainer, when you have kind of like ample time or maybe preferable time, how do you avoid a guy getting injured, for example, or something like that? In the best case scenario.
So this goes back to kind of my fear of like fight camps are stupid. If you're only training when you have a fight, and you feel like you have to amp it up because you have 6 weeks to work or whatever, you're working to get in shape. At the same time, you're trying to get, your hard rounds in so you can get your timing. I think everything compounded. And on top of that, now you've got to cut weight, deplete your nutrients, deplete your calories. It's a recipe for disaster, I think that's why a lot of MMA fighters are constantly hurt. But my guys, I don't let them do camps. This is lifestyle. If you come over here, and that's why, we have a lot of fighters, but we also have a lot of guys that haven't been able to keep up with our grind, because it really is that. Like, if you're not here every day grinding it out with my guys, whether you have a fight or not, then I don't put my attention on you. I'm like, okay, well, get what you want out of it, but if you want me to hold pads for you, do all the extra one-on-one stuff with you, you need to be in here grinding it out. My guys are here. Dusty had his pro debut on Saturday. He was in here Friday. He was back in the gym Monday. He's already training again, Same thing with my 4 guys that just fought in Tampa. They were here Monday night practicing, and they all came out of their fights unscathed, We picked up three finishes, and then we lost one lame decision, in my opinion. But, my guys were not hurt, so they were right back in the gym Monday training. They've all been training. We don't have to get in shape. We don't ever lose our timing. So we can truly just focus on the fight, instead of all the extra stuff like losing weight, getting in shape. My guys are always in shape. It's just one facet that we don't have to worry about. My guys' they don't ever really lose their timing because they don't stop training. So we don't have to ramp up our sparring. So we can spar nice, calm. We up the pace when we spar a lot, but we don't smoke each other to the head. We spar. I'm just gonna leave it at this. We spar every single day here, okay? But we've pulled out of one fight the whole time we've been open, and yeah, no one gets hurt. None of my guys have concussions or anything like that. but we spar every day. Now, it's a certain kind of specific sparring that we do on any given day. It's not like we're in here beating the shit out of each other every day. We don't do that, but we are doing sparring to a certain degree every single day here. And I think that's why my guys don't get hurt. You know, we're rarely injured. You know, injured. My guys have owies all the time. They live with owies, you know, but not injuries. No.
As a trainer, like, how many fighters do you think is good to have? How many fighters can you handle, you think?
You know, I'm getting close to like turning away fighters. I have a lot of guys. The way I have it set up here, I think allows me to have more fighters. If I had like you know, the typical MMA setup, I think I could maybe only, you know, handle 3 or 4. I've got about 8 to 10 maybe. All experienced, higher level, couple pros, but a ton of amis. And you know, my amateurs here, anyone will tell you they're probably some of the most busy amateurs, because I don't really deal with bucket list fighters. You know, if I send someone out, they want to get on one poster, they want to maybe get one fight to go. You know, I'm like, hey, you know, this is probably not the spot for you. We put so much time and effort. My fighters put so much time and effort into each other, and I put so much time and effort into them, outside of class and practice, that it's really hard to want to dedicate to someone who knows that they're not really looking to make anything out of it. On top of that, my business model is always going to be to worry about my student base and the community here over a fight team. The way it's set up right now, I think we just naturally cultivate good fighters. People get good and they want to test themselves, and then they end up seeing gains that maybe give them the confidence to really want to pursue an active fighting, even if it's a hobby. You know, until you're really making real money, it's nothing more than a hobby. You know, like whether you're serious about it or not, if you're not making a living off of it, then it's just a hobby. Now, it's a hobby that could lead into something else, I think, but you know, I think 3 or 4 fighters if I was just coaching fighters, but I'm lucky enough that I have my business model and my curriculum model is in a way where if you just show up, you do class, you'll get ready. You know, you'll get there. So it allows me to manage more fighters than maybe another coach might. But again, I'm still figuring it out. Like, we've had a lot of success lately, and you know, I'm thinking about like instituting some sort of A team, B team. You know, like here at my school, where maybe, you know, I have the fighters kind of focus on a B team, and building up some of the newer fighters so I can focus on, you know, more seasoned amateurs and our pros. But I haven't gotten to that point yet where I can't handle it. And again, I do this full time, you know, I don't have a day job. So I think I'm able to, you know, I train Dusty in the mornings, and train a couple other guys in the mornings. And then, you know, we have our evening fighters and our evening group. So I'm yet to feel overextended or feel like I'm biting off more than I can chew. But you know, I'm nearing that spot where I'm like, okay, maybe if I had one more on this card, this would be chaotic. And I'm starting to get to that point. I'm also getting to the point where, you know, I just got reached out to by a couple of local fighters when they used to fight with me, and they're like, oh, I want to come back and I want to train and this and that. And I'm getting to the point where I might start telling some of these guys, like, hey, you need to get in here now, because man, I don't think I can. I don't think I can handle much more fighters. Just between travel and like taking time away from my family and stuff, I don't really want to do much more than I already have. So I'm like, if you're talking about coming here, you better get over here, because I'm gonna hit a point where I'm like, no more fighters, man. I've got my team. I'm good with it. if someone falls out and there's a spot open, then we'll talk about it. But I know guys don't want to come over here to just do class. They want to fight. So, if they're out there and their intention is to come here, they need to do it quick and put the time in here, because I am getting busy. We've got a lot of fights scheduled, and I don't want to take away from anybody that's already been putting in the work over here.
Yeah, and with Jimmy's success, I've always felt that MMA had a much bigger outreach than jiu-jitsu. I mean, people can be successful in jiu-jitsu and no one really notices that. But
Yeah.
if they fight in the UFC or something like that, the whole community is going to notice. Media is going to notice over time. So is that kind of increased,
Yeah, definitely. And he's obviously been doing a ton of, podcasts and interviews and this and that. And, but it's trickled down to me where, now I've been doing some podcasts and some interviews and we were on the news together, and then the radio did a spot for Forza, and, they hit my background a little bit and kind of, my upbringings and how I came to America. So yeah, we're definitely the light's on us right now, and more so Jimmy, but that's got trickle down effect. It's putting eyes on my gym, and that's putting eyes on my fighters.
Right. So, you talk about going to Tampa, kind of talk about that a little bit. Were those MMA fights or Muay Thai fights?
I had one guy was kickboxing in the cage, and then my other three were MMA fights. One was Wyatt McAdams. He's 6-1. He's the number one heavyweight in Oklahoma, but now he's actually the number one heavyweight in the nation. He fought Donnie Tice, who was 5-1, and he was considered the number one on the number one heavyweight on the East Coast and the Southwest. And then Wyatt was the number one heavyweight in the Midwest. So they fought each other, and Wyatt knocked him out in the first round.
So was that MMA or was that a kickboxing?
Yeah, that was MMA. Yeah.
So maybe he'll be getting some attention, you think?
Yeah, I think so. So Wyatt he could be a pro now. He could be in the UFC right now, right this second. He's a little raw. And we're working on adding to his toolbox. As a heavyweight, it's hard to get experience, man, especially with Wyatt, because he's not like a big heavy set heavyweight. He's a massive athletic. He moves like a little guy. He's elusive, and he's skilled, so it'd be like taking one of my smaller guys and just turning him into a giant. He's that skilled. So he has a lot of fights fall through, and a lot of people don't want to fight him. So we took him out to Tampa, and I asked for their number one guy, who's a guy who's fought at super heavyweight. Also, Donnie Tice was. He cuts to make 265, and Wyatt was maybe about 230, 225 for the fight. And we're just trying to get him as much experience as possible, because I think he's going to have to go pro soon. He's going to run out of fights, and he's consistently running through competition. So, yeah.
So you take Dusty Sparks, and he competes in XFL, right? That was the kind of the pro debut. So,
yep.
Tell me how that went, because I know you kind of had an issue there.
Yeah, okay, so number one, Dusty Sparks, man. When I had nobody, it was me and Dusty. Me and Dusty were Forza. I trained him I coached him over at Triton before I left. So there's a lot of people that are like, he got all the fighters when they were already good. No, that's not true. I coached Dusty before I opened Forza. He just came over after I opened my doors. And we went on a tear. Me and Dusty probably have over 20 fights together. Just people don't know about it. Because he's a cowboy. We'll fight anybody, anywhere, any experience level, any weight class. And Dusty's done it all. He's a 2-time North American champion. He's a 2-time national champion. He's a USMTO silver medalist. He is, he's combat champion. He's actually the XFN 155-pound kickboxing champion. They just never gave him his belt. He's decorated. So originally they were like, we wanted to be in the tournament. But they're like, oh, this is pro debut, we asked for it, and then they turned around, and I guess Brian Foster got called up to the UFC, and some other guys chose to go fight on like bigger shows. So they had the opening. We were in, we were down. That's what Dusty wanted. That's what I wanted. I think Dusty was more set up to go in the tournament fighting. Now, he's done his most successful work at 145 or the 147 division. We stepped up to 155, and, I think in the pros, I'm going to keep Dusty at 145. I'm not going to let him go up to 55 because those guys cut a lot of weight and they hit. For whatever reason, I don't know. 155 seems to be the sweet spot where you can really, like, take off a lot of weight. Those guys are, like, back to 180, 185. One of the guys told us he cut from 190. Dusty weighed in at 153. He walks around. When he's fat, he walks around at 160, He's not a big guy. He's tall, but he's not a big human being. So, we took on tall order, and I think the stoppage was really early. He got hit with 2 shots. I guess there's no standing eights, so we should have just taken a knee, and then we would have got a count. But you can see it too in the video when the referee waved it off. Dusty stood right up and he was like, "Hey, yeah, I was hurt, but I was trying to get my bearings." Dusty's been a slow starter, man. He is a slow starter, but the kid comes alive when he's hurt, and we didn't get a chance to show it. So I'm going to work on his defense, and I'm going to work on him starting fast out of the gate. It just is what it is. I'm not the referee. The promoter's not the referee, so I can't be mad at them. The referee has done this to my gym quite a few times. It's starting to feel a little personal, but I'm not gonna go as far as to say it absolutely is, but it's starting to feel that way because this isn't the first time that my fighter's not gotten an account and things have been waved off before we really had a chance to fight back. And I made some comments that it was inconsistent because I watched multiple fights after Dusty's where guys were literally killing each other and no one was getting waved off and guys were getting 8 counts. And I'm like, my guy got touched once. He wobbled a little bit, but he was still with it. And he intelligently defended himself. When he got hit with the right hook and it wobbled him. He backed himself to the cage. Okay. Had enough to bring himself back to the cage and then shell himself up to the head. And he got hit to the body hard. But, if you fight and you get hurt to the head, you have to defend your head, And if you're out of it and your body's not working, you don't always shell up properly. He shelled up, and the second they waved the fight, he stood all the way up and was like, I mean, I get it. I'm hurt, but he said, I wish you would have let me hit the mat first, But it is what it is. It's upsetting because the guy that beat Dusty went on to get called up to the finals after the second fight opponent beat him. He couldn't continue. I think if Dusty made it out of round 1, he might have had a better showing, but it is what it is. We just move on to the next,
So are you going to bring him back to one of Dale Cook's shows, or?
Dale really likes Dusty, and like I said, I think you're going to be hard-pressed to find any amateur that's willing to debut in that fashion. When we accepted the tournament, Peter Staninik was a part of the tournament. Primo Bellarosa's fighter was part of it. Rum Lindsay, Alfred Walker, Brian Foster. Truly knowing that we might have possibly been matched up with Brian Foster out of the just off the rip, and being okay with that for my fighter's first pro fight. You're not gonna find guys are ducking people on the amateur circuit. There's a gym here, and they duck. They have guys with 5 or 6 fights ducking my debuters. and they won't fight us. They will not fight us. You're not gonna find another gym, I think, in the area that's willing to do that. And I might get criticized, oh, you would do that. No, my guy's just that good. You know, I believe in him. And we've done stuff like that through the whole existence of my gym. You know, even look at Jimmy. When we were looking for fights, like one of the stipulations, the toughest fight you can get me. The toughest fight you can get me. He jumped up 2 weight classes to kickbox a fighter with like 40 fights, you know? He's literally asking for the toughest fights, 10-1, 6-1, 7-2, you know, 6-0, Nate Smith. You know, it's just what we do here, you know? We're in this to prove ourselves and be real fighters and try to get to the top. So we're not over here like padding our records. I don't believe in that, because as you see, a lot of guys will pad their records in the amateurs, then fight a real motherfucker in the pros and get knocked out, you know? Because if I fought 10 easy fights in the amateurs and then I fight somebody who's had 10 wars in the amateurs, well, who's really been tested, you know? Not the padded record, the guy who's been through 10 wars. And he might not have the best record, but you know he's a fucking fighter. And then he's going to fight somebody else with give me's. You know, there's a difference there. Dusty's been through wars. His last amateur fight was against someone that I think would play with that whole tournament. You know, I truly believe it. He fought Luke Lessie at 153. Luke Lessie is a Team USA standout. He's fought at the World Games. I mean, the kid's incredible. I mean, one of the best fighters I've ever seen, period. He's just not a pro. He likes to fight, you know, and I think that guy would have ran through the tournament. You know, he's truly next level. Like, and that was Dusty's last fight. He went, you know, all 5 rounds with him, survived, lost the decision, you know, but it was a tough fight. So I knew Dusty was ready for anything.
Now, I know you kind of mentioned like some other fighters from Oklahoma. I don't know how much you want to discuss what you saw, but I mean, like, if you want to talk about, I mean, we saw like Kyle kind of, you know, debut in the Dana White series. Do you think an inexperience like we were just talking about kind of affected him?
You know, it's hard, man. Me and Kyle have had our ups and downs, and you know, we're on good terms now. You know, Kyle's a good kid, man. He's young. I'll leave it at that. He's a young kid. But even in the lead up to his Contender series fight, they're like, oh yeah, I trained at a bunch of little gyms. Well, yeah, my gym was just open, but it's no longer a little gym. And they showed footage of me and him working together, you know? So I'm like, come on, dude. You know, why would you give them footage of us training 3 years ago and then, oh, I trained at a little gym in Oklahoma and I needed to be at a bigger place? No, you didn't. And Jimmy's proof of that. You know, I'll say it all day. Maybe if he stayed here, he would have got a little bit more one-on-one attention. But, you know, I like Kyle. He's going to have a good future in the sport, man. He's probably one of the most athletic, sponge-like people I've ever worked with. I think he would benefit from being somewhere where he's not one of however many they have over there. There's a lot of guys over there. I don't know. I don't know the intricacies of what they do over there. But I don't know. Jimmy's here, and it worked out for him. We brought everything he needed. When we didn't have, you know, I didn't have someone to push him in the jiu-jitsu realm, we brought in Micah Stockton. He helped out. You know, we needed wrestlers. We brought the wrestlers in, you know, and now I hired them, and they're part of our camp. You know, my intention was always to build what we needed here for our fighters. I like Kyle. I don't think he's had the hardest fight, but he went pro really, really fast. You know, he probably went pro before he was ready. So he had to take learning fights. I'm going to call them learning fights. I don't think he's outright padding his record or anything like that, but we took tough fights when he was with me, like really, really hard fights. We fought Brian Foster's guys. We fought that little Mexican cat from Oklahoma City from American Elite. I mean, he took hard fights with me, and we never lost together. We're undefeated together, So I don't know what else I can say on that. I don't have any ill will towards him, but
that's not what I was trying to get. I was kind of getting at, he won, but the fight wasn't, explosive enough or whatever to where he wasn't selected, which isn't. I mean, you can always come back and fight again. Yeah, maybe when you're looking at a fighter who doesn't have a lot of, do you think it was the experience that?
Yeah, it might be. It might be that. It might be, it might be the way he performed too. Like he fought a 135er who stepped up, and Kyle's fought most of his career at 155. So maybe what they were expecting was him to go out there and manhandle the smaller man. And, I think a lot of times stuff like that works in your disadvantage because there might have been some like unjust expectation of Kyle, like, hey, you better go out there and just ragdoll this guy. He's a 135er. You fought at 155. I don't know. I didn't know he was on the Contender until I saw like a little post of his like maybe like a week and a half out or 2 weeks. I don't know. It's all like a blur, but I think that there might have been some expectations of him, where he's coming from, who he trains with, who he's fighting. They might have expected him to just blow past him impressive fashion. And that guy's tough. The guy he fought for the Contender, that's a tough guy, man. You look at his record, he's fought a lot of good fighters, so it might be that. It might be his age. It could be, a number of things. There was another guy, I think, that fought the same night as us that they said it was impressive, but they just wanted him to get more seasoning,
Oh, the Armenian. Yeah. And he looked tough. Yeah, but they still said no. Yeah.
Yeah, and Kyle's also in a deep division, 155, 145. There's a lot of fighters there. Jimmy's a flyweight, they need flyweights. I'm surprised they put Jimmy on the Contender and they didn't just sign him, but they did. They're giving Nate another shot, so it could be that.
Yeah, I think kind of comes back to what we were talking before. How many fighters can you take on and really focus on their strengths, weaknesses, and kind of fine tuning them?
Mm-hmm.
AKA has so many fighters, it might be hard to fine tune specific guys beyond guys that are fighting for a lot of money.
Yeah, and like I said, man, I do not know. Me and Kyle, we talk occasionally, like on the Instagram story reply or something like that. And he's a good kid, man. He's talented. I like the guy. I wish him nothing but the best. I don't know the intricacies of how his camp works, how AKA works, and I would never try to speak on the matter. But from the outside looking in, they have a lot of UFC guys. They have a lot of high-level UFC guys. They had a lot of champions at one point. So, it would only seem like from my experience now to what I'm talking about, getting my fighters, my more seasoned fighters, to start coaching the up and coming amateurs, the debuters and stuff like that, to get kind of ease my load a little bit. I can't imagine having 10 pros, and they all want the same attention. They all pay you, whatever. So I don't know. I don't know how it works over there, but from the outside looking in, I think he could benefit from having a knowledgeable coach that maybe isn't so far into their career as far as coaching. Because I fully believe that one day my gym will be one of the super camps in the USA, and I might have so many guys that I have to have side coaches and you know, coaches under me that take care of guys that are up and coming. Like I said, I don't know. Yeah, I think maybe he might not be the priority over there, but again, that's just speculation. I don't know. He very well could be, because like I said, man, he's one of the most athletic and sponge-like students I've ever had. If I show Kyle something, he learns it like that. Implementing it, he followed our game plans, you know, and he listened. He's special. He is. But I don't know. And he looked great fighting that guy, and he beat him. So, you know, I really don't know what the UFC was thinking, or maybe they just wanted to see something else out of him, you know?
Now, what other things do you kind of have planned, or maybe that you're looking at for some of your fighters or your gym in general?
Well, I'd like to implement a self-defense program. Like, I'd like to have a separate self-defense program for maybe, you know, a bit of my older population, and maybe that they don't want to do combat sports, but they do want to learn how to defend themselves, and maybe bring in like Krav Maga or something like that, and then maybe start to get like expand just what we offer. Maybe, you know, some yoga, something like that, just to round out kind of, you know, our program here. You know, we're all working on that next door space. Just trying to get the landlord to come down a little bit. But if it works out, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Jimmy started teaching a no-gi class here for our MMA team. Like I said, I've got our wrestler, Kyle Wag and Cody Carstetter, kind of leading the ship in our wrestling department. And then, yeah, man, that's it. My youth team is on the come up also. But yeah, we're just settling into the new space. It's been a month, you know, looking like I need more space. So it's good problems to have. But yeah, I've got a lot of amateurs with fights coming up. I'm excited, man. I have a good group. I have very loyal, respectful, helpful, humble humans here. And yeah, man, I'm grateful. I'm happy. I'm content. I just want to work hard for those guys and show everybody what they're made of, you know.
How much has bringing in the wrestlers kind of changed things at all?
You know, I did an okay job. Like, when I fought MMA, Kamaru Usman was my MMA wrestling coach, you know. Thomas hired him when he was at the Olympic Center before he had ever did any sort of MMA. So I had, you know, if you watch my last couple MMA fights, I have a pressure forward style already. So it just worked naturally with my style to pressure people into the cage and then take them down. And then, you know, I towards the end of my MMA stint, I was able to show my submission skills, my wrestling skills. So, you know, it wasn't like I was incompetent, but I need, for me to actually want to go really deep into MMA, because it seemed like for the longest time, I felt like before anyone really truly takes my gym seriously, we're going to have to break into the MMA circuit and really have the same success that we've had on the Muay Thai circuit. Because, you know, on the Muay Thai side, my team is, you know, I have people that come visit. I have people from Arkansas that make the trip towards the end of the week. They stay down here for the week and train. Like, on the Muay Thai side, you know, we're one of the more reputable teams in the nation. But I wanted that same sort of notoriety for MMA, but I wanted my people to have a specialist working on them in every facet of the sport. You know, obviously I've got the striking covered, and then blending the multiple sports together and what I think is an effective combination. And then, Cody Carstetter is fantastic, man. And if you watch our fights in Tampa, like, our wrestling was on display. You know, mistakes that my fighters were making before, they are starting to correct, and not just threatening in the stand-up now, but threatening on the ground as well. And then Jimmy bringing his boa constrictor system into play is just going to make us that much more deadly. And then again, we have a work ethic that is rivaled by nobody. I don't think there's any team in Oklahoma that works as hard as my guys do. You can hear right now, if you listen, that's a heavy bag getting hit. There's pads being hit. Like, they're still in there working on things. And those guys have been here since 4:00,
Yeah,
So,
for people listening to this, it's 10 o'clock. So and that's why he's bringing that up. So,
yeah. It's them. They work hard. We're not doing anything like otherworldly here. I think I've had some guys come over here and expect like some secret potion or something that we're doing here. It's nothing secret. They work hard. They work hard and they listen.
well, Leo, I appreciate you taking time to talk to me again. And is there anything else you kind of wanted to leave on, or anything else? I know you had also mentioned the seminar you're having or something.
Yeah, we're doing a re-grand opening, or an actual grand. I never had a grand opening, but we're doing it October 31st. We're just gonna have a little bit of an open house here. I've got Johnson on Fairtex, 2-time Lumpini Stadium champion, multiple time, champion of other organizations. His resume is so ridiculous that I can't even rattle off everything, but the big ones are obviously he's a Lumpini Stadium champion, which is the biggest, most prestigious stadium in Thailand. He was a part of one of the most famous fights in Muay Thai history, the Elbow War. If you type in Elbow War on YouTube, you'll see probably the most violent fight in Muay Thai at that level. And I've been blessed to have been able to learn from him and have him teach me things. And now I'm bringing him to our school to do a seminar for our guys on October 31st. If anyone wants to come, just message me, shoot us a message on Instagram, and we'll get it figured out. But he's coming. I've got Jad Al-Khatib is fighting on Rage in the Cage October 24th. We've got fights November 6th through the 8th in Arizona, taking the team to the US Muay Thai Open. November 14th, kickboxing in Guthrie, Oklahoma. November 21st, actually, in Guthrie, Oklahoma. November 14th, I think that's FCF. Hopefully I have Wyatt on that. Then December 5th is Jimmy's UFC debut. December 12th, I have probably about 5 guys fighting on a Muay Thai card in Indiana. And then, I'm hoping that we can kind of rest after that and just go back to the lab and work on new things and expanding the business and all that. But, it's really hard to turn down fights for us.
Hopefully you can be home for Christmas and New Year's, maybe.
Oh yeah, that's a lock, man. There's only a few times that there's only a few dates throughout the year that are off limits, and that's my daughter's birthday, and then like the big holidays like Christmas, and that's just, I have 5 kids. We have 5 kids, so I sacrifice a lot of time away from them. So there's a few dates that we're not gonna miss for fights, but other than that, man, we're open season. We like to fight, but that's it, man. Thank you for having me, and thank you for just shining light on my gym and my team and having us on. It would be cool to maybe get some of the other guys on, maybe like Wyatt. He's that guy's he's an interesting guy, man. He's really smart, and like I said, he's the #1 amateur heavyweight in the U.S. right now. I'm putting him on the Muay Thai circuit, so hopefully we can get him some some national North American notoriety and hopefully some international experience. But that's the guy to watch. If anybody's interested or wondering about kind of the next guy out of Oklahoma that's going to do big things, it's Wyatt McAdams. Follow him on the social media, Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. He's a killer. He's athletic. Yeah, he's the guy to watch, and he's good everywhere. So, yeah, he's my next one that I think is going to break out of this gym.
For sure, we can set it up, man, anytime.
Yeah, man, and he needs to get better at stuff like this, because he's flying under the radar, and he's literally one of the best fighters that Oklahoma's ever had, in my opinion. So I need him to start getting his voice out there and getting people excited about him, because he's going to do big things, I think.
All right, sure thing. And, it was good catching up with you. And whenever you want to jump back on or get your guys on, just let me know.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Maybe we could do like a round table or something for fights or something like that.
Sure thing. Sounds good, man.
All right, brother. Have a good one.
Take it easy. Yep.
Yeah, you too.